Okay, I'm gonna read you a story called The 10 Plagues of Egypt. Plagues means punishments. Because how many times did God punish the Egyptian people? One time? Two times? Three? How many times? How many is that? Good job, 10. God punished the Egyptian people 10 times. You're going to tell me whether it's a rhyming book or not, okay? Because Morah Lora loves rhyming books. The author is Shoshana Lepone. What does the author do, guys? Writes the words. Good job. And the illustrator is Aaron Friedman. What does the illustrator do? Good job. Draws the pictures. Very good. Morah Lora loves this book. This is one of her favorite books. Come hear the great tale of a rich mighty land where wicked king wanted to fight God's command. Egypt's king Pharaoh had Israel enslaved, but God had decided that they should be saved. God wanted his people to live by his plan, to follow his law for the good of each man. So Moses was sent to tell Pharaoh God's word. Send out my people. Their cry has been heard. But the king saw no reason to set his slaves free. He boasted, no ruler is greater than me. Who is God? Pharaoh laughed. That he orders me so. I rule the Israelites. They shall not go. Remember, he did not want to let the Jewish people go free. And what did God do? Punish them. The foolish king's future would soon be undone. Of the 10 plagues of Egypt, blood was plague number 1. Blood oozed from rivers, lake thick, like thick, sticky jelly. Dead fish made the waters disgusting and smelly. Fee, you, disgusting. Blood in the bathtub and blood in the sink. No water at all, not a drop left to drink. The only fresh water was found by the slaves. Let us drink, please, begged their masters, or we will go to our graves. But the moment the Israelites shared a few sips, the water turned bloody on the Egyptian lips. Remember Morah Lora said? When the Egyptians were drinking water, it turned to good. But did the Jewish people have blood? No, they drank water. Even Pharaoh was thirsty, but still he said, no! They want to serve God? Well, I will not let them go. That wasn't nice, was it? King Pharaoh was not nice. So Moses to Pharaoh, why don't you give up? Give in. You're fighting with God. Don't you know you can't win? Next came the second plague, frogs, big and bumpy. They hid in the houses and made people jumpy. See, everybody jumped from all the frogs. What is a group of frogs called? An army. Good job. They sprang from the rivers, dripping and slimy, rolling in bedsheets and making them grimy. In the kitchens of Egypt, the ovens were shaking with frogs leaping out of bread that was baking. Frogs hopped onto shoulders and croaked into ears. Rabbit, rabbit, rabbit. They made such a racket it brought one to tears. But the frogs only made Pharaoh's stubbornness grow. These are my slaves. I will not let them go. See, he did not want the slaves go. What kind of a book is this, guys? Very good. A rhyming book. Morah Lora's. You're such good listeners. Said Moses, 2 plagues and you still don't agree? Perhaps you will give in after plague number 3. Being cruel to the Israelites carried a prize. All Egypt's dust will now turn to lice, those tiny little bugs that make you itch. They came for a visit, those unwanted guests, and no magic helped to get rid of the pests. Egyptians tried soaking in rivers and springs, but still could not flee from the small, itchy things. Others took cover in tunnels down deep, but way underground, lice continued to creep. Shouted Pharaoh, "I'm the ruler, above and below. Nothing can force me to let my slaves go." Oh, he was not happy. But Moses, oh my goodness, what are these guys? Wild beasts. But Moses just said, "Oh, you arrogant king, you have suffered 3 plagues without learning a thing." Then Egypt shook with a deafening roar. Wild beasts stalked the streets in plague number 4. Good job. Look, all the wild beasts came, bears and lions and tigers. Egyptians hid trembling in barrels and boxes, protecting themselves from mad dogs and foxes. Pharaoh heard to Moses, "Okay, I'll free them today. Just please tell your God, drive these creatures away." But when the beasts left, evil Pharaoh said, "No," and took back his promise. "I will not let them go." Is it nice not to keep your promise? When you promise something, always try and keep it. That's why we shouldn't make promises if we know we can't keep them. Said Moses, "Beware, God is fighting our battle because you have treated us worse than your cattle." Israelites struggle with wagons and plows while you give rest to your oxen and cows. But the cows that you pamper to grow fat and thick with plague number, what number is this? 5, will be terribly sick. So ill were their cows, they could not even moo. They couldn't even moo, they were so sick. They lay around helpless with no strength to chew. But the Israelites' cows had no coughs or wheezes, no chills and no fevers, no sniffles or sneezes. Cried Pharaoh, "I'm the king here, and my slaves must know, if they want to serve God, I shall not let them go." See, each time he changed his mind, just like that. But the greatest of kings have no strength of their own. The power to rule is in God's hands alone. Stubborn King Pharaoh was acting absurd. How foolish to think he would have the last word. God sent plague number 6. Hot, watery blisters on brothers and sisters, on aunts and on uncles, on brothers and sisters, on men and on beasts. Those boils kept doubling all over their bodies. Big blotches were bubbling. It swelled up on bellies, this dreaded disease. It burst out on elbows, on knuckles and knees. Even Pharaoh had boils from forehead to toe, but he wouldn't bend. "My slaves shall not go." Then Egypt was warned about plague number 7. Hailstones like boulders would rain down from heaven. Big, humongous rocks of ice came falling from the sky. Most people did not need to hear anymore. They ran into their houses and bolted the door. But the ones who were headstrong ignored all advice. They stayed in their fields and were struck down by ice. Hail fell down, flaming, with flashes of lightning and loud bursts of thunder that made it more frightening. Pharaoh quickly called Moses. "They are free men, I swear. Okay, I will let them go." And just then the hail stopped in midair. But then Pharaoh laughed. For a few flakes of snow? Did you really expect me to let my slaves go? He kept changing his mind. Said Moses. Guys, remember what this is? It's the kosher bug. Locust. That's right. Said Moses, the 8th plague will be armies of locusts. See, the locusts are also called, a group of locusts is called an army, just like frogs and ants, right? Ants, frogs, locusts, called an army. Cried the king, I'm not frightened by your hocus pocus. Pharaoh's men begged, save what's left of our land. But still he refused to heed God's command. Heed means listen. The locusts invaded and made their attack, munching grapes from the vines for a mid-morning snack. And when they got down to some serious eating, every tree in the land took a terrible beating. Pharaoh called Moses. He wasted no time. I've enslaved them too long. I admit to my crime. But when the plague stopped, wicked Pharaoh said, no! He again changed his mind. I will not let them go. See, he kept changing his mind every time. The 9th plague was darkness. Darkness, a horrible fright. 3 days of thick darkness, not one ray of light. For being so wicked, so heartless and mean, this dark was the darkest to ever be seen. When whoever tried walking could not lift his feet, and anyone sitting was stuck to his seat. But the slaves were now blessed with miraculous light. It shone in the daytime and even at night. Pharaoh said, Moses, Moses, I will free them today. The people may go, but the animals should stay. But our flocks, said Moses, are needed, you know. Sorry, said Pharaoh, I will not let them go. In 10th plague, said Moses, it surely is worse. You have time yet to stop it. I'm waiting. I'm warning you first. But foolhardy Pharaoh felt somehow he would win. His land all but ruined. Still he would not give in. In the quiet of night, loud cries filled the air. Egyptians were weeping and pulling their hair. In houses of Egypt, the oldest sons disappeared, for no one had listened when God's children cried. Leave my land, ordered Pharaoh. I surrender to you. Take your people, your cattle, and pray for me too. Get out as fast as you can. Egyptians were pressing them not to be slow. You have made enough trouble. Get moving. Now go. See, all of a sudden he said, get out of here as fast as you can before I change my mind, just like that. The slaves rushed, not waiting for their dough to rise, but the future would bring them a dreadful surprise. For Pharaoh, of course, changed his mind once again, chasing after the Israelites with Egypt's armed men. Attacks from all sides, they marched into the sea, but faith in God's mercy would soon make them free. The sea split for Israel to cross on dry land. Then it came crashing back and the soldiers were drowned. Great Egypt lay ruined, with many men disappeared, and the slaves were now free with their homeland ahead. No more need the Israelites fear any man. With God as their master, true freedom began. Is this the end, the beginning, or the middle of the book? Good job. The end. Very good. I love you, my lovies. You, again, be good listeners for mommies and daddies, okay? I'll see you tomorrow.